My friend, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Caitlin Anwin for anyone who's new here, and let's get back into building in Planet Zoo. And this is going to be the first habitat for the Wetlands Safari Park, and I'm going to start with the red-crowned crane. I just thought this lake pond by the entrance building would be perfect for the cranes, and it's just a nice starting habitat. And to start with, I actually needed to make sure that the staff could actually get into the habitat. I didn't want the staff to be too visible from the guests' viewing point. And I thought because I was building this so close to the entrance that I could just put the habitat gate underneath the entrance building. But because I put the habitat gate underneath the entrance building, I needed to make a bridge for the keeper to get over the water. So I started off with this East Asia style bridge, but I won't be keeping that. I just put it there ready for a template. And my inspiration for this habitat was the fun facts, as usual. And one of the fun facts for the red-crowned cranes is red-crowned cranes have cultural significance in Chinese, Japanese and Korean myths attributed with virtues like loyalty, purity, strength and peace. So I chose a kind of Japanese design for this habitat, and I looked into what sorts of symbols Japanese cultures have for those four attributes, I guess? Yeah, attributes. I found a couple of things that I want to add into the design, but to start with, I kind of wanted to make a Japanese garden park, and I wanted to start with a pagoda. I don't really know what the name is, just basically a round building that is kind of overlooking the water. How you can build circular buildings is quite simple, really. You need to have two objects that are parallel to each other, and the space in between those two objects is going to be the size of the circular building. So sometimes it's easier to have a size reference, like another object that tells you how long it is. So a 4-meter long plank of wood or a 4-meter wall. Once you have the right size you want, then you need to duplicate it using Advanced Move tool, which is Control X, and then press X again to get into the rotation part of the Advanced Move, and then duplicate while rotating. You need angle snap off for this to smoothly rotate the objects in a circle, and I use that a lot making this round building because I needed this technique pretty much for every individual part of the building. The smaller the objects you use, the more smooth the circle you can create. So for example, these blocks I used, you can kind of see where they're joined because they're quite a large block. You can kind of see that it's not quite a smooth circle. But if you use something like a plank of wood that's a smaller diameter, you can make a more smooth looking circle. But as I was building as well, I made sure that each individual part of the building was separate groups so I could duplicate them separately. And you can always then group everything back together once you've finished the building by using the multi-select tool. If you want to know a little bit more about groups and how to use them, I do have a short available. I will put that in the iCards. I don't know if they still pop up in the screen actually. They're usually underneath now in the description. Speaking of other little changes like that, the like button also has a new animation. If you want to see what that looks like, it is not a plot to get you to like my video. You can like it and then unlike it if you want, but it does give you this little sparkly animation now. And for just underneath the roof, I wanted to add a little bit of an extra detail, and I use these little objects with fish on them. I think they're fish. I had my glasses on and everything, and I was looking at them really closely, and I thought they were cute either way, and I really liked the design, and I just did the same circle technique. And I was going to make everything white, red and black to match in with the cranes, but I decided to keep with the main colour scheme for the zoo, just so it matched in with the entrance building, because this is like the entrance habitat. This is what the guests are going to see as soon as they enter into the zoo, so I don't want it to be too disjointed straight away. I might go for different colours as we go along the zoo, but for this first habitat I want to stick with the colour scheme. And the colour scheme is like atomic orange. It's like a blue colour scheme, so we've got like a mint, teal blue, a dark blue, a peach and an orange, and I quite like that. It's quite a summery colour scheme. And I don't really do enrichment this early, but I thought I'd get it out of the way because sometimes I will forget as I'm deep in my creative world, I guess, when I'm building. And I thought the waterfall enrichment would be really good underneath the path, so it kind of gets hidden by the path supports. And I thought it was just really nice to kind of link in the building with the habitat too. I'm really enjoying trying to tie everything together and make it really interactive. And speaking of trying to tie everything together, it's time to try and fix this bridge because I didn't want it to be a bog standard bridge. So I wanted to tie in the nice curvy roof that I created for the entrance building in with the bridge that's just outside the entrance building. So I use sort of the same technique that I used for the roof, where I created a sort of template out of the different roof pieces, the triangular pieces. I did look at what they were actually called, but I've now forgotten. Gables? Are they the roof gables? You know what I mean? The triangle pieces. And I'm using this like brick stone texture because I wanted it to be like a solid bridge as well. I didn't want it to be wooden, I wanted it to be kind of stone to match in with the style of the basic bridge but make it curvy. And this is roughly the same technique that I used for the roof as well, just slowly following the angles that I'd created with the different triangles to sort of create a curve, and then I'll go back and make it more curvy. And I decided to try and save time. I would build one side and then duplicate it and flip it so it would be like an actual bridge. And I've also made sure to start building this on the world axis just so everything is a lot easier to duplicate later on. And then once I'd finished the bridge, then I will rotate it off the axis to have it fit in nicely with the water. I wanted to cover the ends of the columns because that's like the edge of the bridge, and to get the exact angle that I'd created on the bridge I duplicated the column using Control X, advanced move or advanced duplicate, to get the exact angle of the stone column. And then once you've got that advanced duplicate open, select the other object that you want, like the FlexiColor wood pieces. Then those other pieces will be the exact same angle as the object you've advanced duplicated. That makes sense? So I don't have to like play around with the angles then. Everything's the right angle for the bridge. So now onto like the banister. Should you call it a banister? The fence over the bridge. And to make sure that the fence posts were evenly spaced out, I used a horizontal 1 meter plank to space out each 1 meter plank. Luckily you can see, because I built them all in a straight line, I just then had to move them up to align with the curves of the bridge. I actually forgot to record building the bridge supports, but they're basically just 2 archways and some columns to add like more feet to the archways, just to give like the support a curve too. And I also added some fans along the bridge because fans in Japanese culture represent strength, and the red crown crane also represents strength, so adding the fans in kind of links the two together. Another one of the symbols that link in with the crane symbolism was the lotus. The lotus represents purity, and we have blue lotus in game, so I wanted to add lots of lotus around the lake pond We did have the lily pads originally, so I just replaced those with the blue Lotus, and obviously the blue then goes with the colour scheme too, which I was really happy with. And I actually did realise once I started with this foraging pool that I don't know what biome I'm in. So I took the easy option and clicked mossy. Thought it'd be nice to go for mossy, more green as well. And oh, that's a nice trick that I like doing with rocks. Because if you're not quite sure what biome you're in and you still want to like blend your rocks in, but the terrain paint isn't matching with the rock type that you're using, lower a really flat rock into the ground until only a little bit is showing, so you have like really small rocks and small patches, and that also allows for like nice mossy areas along the ground. To blend in the forage pool with the mossy rocks, I added some more flat mossy rocks in the forage pool, so it kind of looks like the cranes can forage in the moss. And I was looking at more realism things. I wanted to add in some nests for the cranes. I've been dying to use the egg props, so I wanted to create a nest, and I wanted it to be sort of realistic to the red crown cranes. And luckily I did find some examples of crane nests in zoos in captivity, which kind of makes more sense really. And their nests were kind of like either a pile of hay or a pile of sticks. It was still round but quite flat. It's not exactly imperfect because of the way that I started the like size template, but I think it works really well. And then I tried to hide the nest in some long grass as well, because they wouldn't just place their precious little eggs out in the open. And I didn't do exactly the same number in each nest as well, because I figured each nest would be a different pair, because cranes are monogamous and generally mate for life. Love that, so adorable. And their mating dances are called duets. This is a safari park. I don't want it necessarily just to be like a 4x4 adventure tour type of a safari. I just wanted it to be interactive. I wanted the guests to get in and experience a lot of the habitat, and so I made this a walkthrough habitat because the red crown cranes do allow guests to enter the habitat, so I made it a walkthrough. I grabbed a couple of Japanese garden props from Steam Workshop. A lot of these weren't base game though, and I really wanted this to be a base game build. So I will include all of the blueprints that I used in the description and who they buy and stuff, because I got a couple, but I did end up using their builds. But I ended up replacing the objects that they used with base game objects, so I could make this a base game build. They had actually used a stone from the South America pack, and I just replaced it with the stone from the East Asia style, base game style. And it's not actually that much different, the stones. This covered walkway wasn't fully base game, so then I needed to find a wooden plank that looked like this one but was base game instead. And I really like the object that I picked as well, because it was from the East Asia style and it matched in with the wood tone of the roof of the entrance building too. I also added in some more pops of colour once I'd replaced all of the wood with the East Asia style with some of the navy blue or the dark blue and the peach colour. Keep everything consistent with the whole habitat. And then with the Japanese sort of gardens, the Zen gardens, there's a lot of sand where you can like use those rakes and make pretty patterns in the sand. That's supposed to be like really calming and soothing, right? But I wanted to make like a kind of a Zen garden then for the other side of the path, like the guest's path through the habitat. This part isn't quite inside the habitat. The guest's path is pretty much right on the edge of the habitat where the animals can go. This is just going to be a sort of decoration. And to make the patterns in the sand, I didn't want to get too fiddly because I got up to like 7 hours of building by this point. I just used the 2 different textures of sand with the terrain paint and just made a couple of different swirly patterns that are quite large. They're not quite exactly what you would expect out of a Zen garden. And lastly, education boards. I ended up using the picnic canopy, and the East Asia picnic canopy is not in the construction tab. It's in with the bins and benches and stuff. Why? But oh well. Like some of the umbrellas are with the bins and benches, I guess, but I really thought this object would be in the construction tab and it was not. And added a little bit of a decoration with the fan to go for the strength symbolism as a little bit of an extra decoration for the education board frame. Oh no, I used the prefab blueprint for the monkey statues just to add a little bit more decoration in the sand part. This isn't part of the habitat, so I didn't mind too much, but I'm actually embarrassed using a prefab blueprint. Oh, because my whole tutorial series for the shorts is called Ditch the Prefabs. Like I have a personal vendetta against them. I don't, but it is embarrassing using them. I'm a builder, I should be building my own things, but it'd been 8 hours. It wasn't part of the habitat, I didn't mind too much. And I also added some more of the blueprint bonsai trees in, and to make them slightly different I just deleted some of the bushes that were creating the leaves of the bonsai tree. Again, all of the blueprints will be included in the description. And yep, we're on to the Pretties now, watching the cranes swimming out around their beautiful lake. Again, let me know in the comments what animal I should build a habitat for next. Anything Wetlands Pack or aquatic animals, I don't mind. And any ideas for designs of habitats for those animals as well. I love all of your suggestions, and I'm gonna leave it off there. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, and if you haven't already and you'd like to, it would mean a lot to me if you could subscribe and hit the bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video. I upload speed builds on Wednesdays and shorts tutorials on Saturdays. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Goodbye!